All righty. Well, in the interest of time, looks like a couple more folks are popping in the waiting room, but we're going to go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time out of your early evening to be with us today. My name is Zoe Crow-Barnes, and I am the Regional Director for CBU. So basically, I'm the person that liaises with Garrett, and he can introduce himself in a second. But I do everything on the ISA-Veritas end in terms of helping you pick a program that's right for you, kind of walking you through that application process, etc. I'll go ahead and turn it over to my wonderful colleague, Garrett, and let him introduce himself.
Hi guys, my name is Garrett, and thanks for that introduction, Zoe. My office is in the James building, and I coordinate study abroad on the CBU side. So we work really closely with ISA and Veritas to come up with really cool programs for you guys. But when you guys say you're interested in exploring study abroad further, you'll basically work with me, and I'll be the one, kind of coordinating with the different offices at CBU to make sure that you guys are going to get credit, it's going to transfer back. Your financial aid is going to work out, all that good stuff. So if you guys have questions later, you can reach out. But thanks so much, Zoe.
All right, thanks, Garrett. And then Aley, do you want to introduce yourself really fast?
Hi, everybody. My name is Aley Badair. I'm calling in from Dallas, Texas, and I am the director of ISA-Veritas. So I work really closely with Garrett and Zoe. I actually studied abroad with Veritas when I was a student in Cusco, Peru, which is why I have a lot of alpacas behind me. If you can see, my screen's kind of little, so maybe you can't see, but they're back there. So I'm super excited to chat with y'all today and just hear about what you're looking forward to about study abroad.
All right, fantastic. Thanks, Aley, and thanks all of you for introing yourselves in the chat a bit. And at the end of the presentation, I'll stop sharing my screen and so I can see the chat and see your faces, and then we can ask some questions. But let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to chat a little bit today about ISA-Veritas and also what we call a technical name, but it's called signature program. So we've created a couple programs in a couple locations that are designed for CBU and around some of your majors, and that Garrett and other folks at CBU have looked at and said, all right, we approve this program, we love this program. So we're going to be chatting about those a little bit. So let's go ahead and get started. So first, who is ISA-Veritas? So ISA-Veritas is a division of ISA, and ISA offers traditional study abroad, right? Where you go into a classroom abroad, you take classes, you live with other folks on your program, you meet new people, and then those courses transfer back to CBU. The dimension that Veritas offers more than the traditional study abroad is the spiritual support, so the Christian spiritual support and community around the program. So the goal is to support and foster your Christian religious identity abroad and to really help you find community within the locations that you choose. So if your faith community is really important to you at CBU, we hope to plug you into that community as well while you're abroad. So we have 12 different countries where we offer Veritas around the world. But today, as I mentioned, we're going to specifically be focusing on 4 locations. The first in San Jose, Costa Rica, Seville, Spain, Paris, France, and Prague in the Czech Republic. Those are the programs that we've specifically designed for CBU, so we'll be touching a bit on those. So what do we do here at Veritas ISA? We like to say that we do everything. We want to make study abroad as easy as possible for you. So what does this mean? This literally means from the moment you're in now where you know you're interested in studying abroad, we want to be there to support you through that process. So as you're, picking your dream program, whether that's, through your major or a location you really want to go to, we have a team of advisors as well as Gary. That was a mix between Garrett and Aley. Garrett and Aley as well here to support you to find that perfect program. And then once you apply, you have what's called a program manager. And that person is really going to walk you through the application process. So enrolling in courses, booking your flights, where you're going to stay in terms of a homestay or an apartment. Your program manager really walks you through all of those steps so you don't have to do any of that alone. And then finally, the last layer of support we offer is when you're on site in your country of choice. We have what's called on-site staff members, and we have those in every location. And they're there to be your home away from home, your support system while you're abroad. So whether you are, let's say a light bulb goes out in your room and you don't know how to fix it, you can call your on-site staff. If you're, maybe feeling a bit homesick and you want to talk to somebody, call your on-site staff. But let's say for whatever reason you have to go to the hospital, something comes up, you call your on-site staff, they're there 24/7 and they're there to support you. So you can be as independent as you want to be during your travels, but you've got that layer of safety and support to lean on if you need it. So why we do it? We believe truly that spiritual support and service will enhance your cross-cultural experience when you're abroad. So I want to turn it over to Aley and Garrett here to talk a little bit about their experiences abroad and how that kind of changed them and shaped, who they are in their career. So I guess, Aley, I'll start with you and what specifically the spiritual support meant to you abroad.
Yeah, so thanks, Zoe. Like I mentioned, I actually studied abroad with Veritas as a student, and it's really cliche to be like, study abroad changed my life, but it did. And it was so neat to see what ministry looked like in another culture, to see what worship looked like in another culture, and really just my study abroad time was my first time in my life that it felt like I really couldn't even get through the day without time with the Lord, without a quiet time. And it was the first time in my walk in faith that my faith felt absolutely necessary to do anything. And that was just so neat to see how big God is and to see, how small we are. And it absolutely shaped my life. And I wanted to go into full-time ministry afterwards and ended up wanting to come work for Veritas. So why I do it is because of how much it changed my life and just wanting to share, this experience and this cross-cultural experience and sharing the gospel with other students who go abroad. So.
Thanks, Aley. And Garrett, do you want to talk a little bit about your experience abroad?
Yeah, so I think Aley's heard this story a lot of times, but when I studied abroad, I actually ended up just going by myself. My university didn't know about it. They didn't have a program there, and I didn't have the level of support that ISA and Veritas offer. So I remember that I had a lot of challenges with that, trying to navigate the public busing and trying to get from the airport to the university, trying to figure out when classes start, where my dorms were, not speaking the language. So it's really nice to have that support, and I really want to emphasize that. And you can still be independent, but if, say, there was an emergency, you have staff in country that can back you up. And coming from someone that didn't have that, it's really awesome. But I'd say study abroad really set me on the trajectory that of my future, really. When I studied abroad, I loved it so much that I decided to come back for my graduate degree. And I don't think I would have pursued a graduate degree if it weren't for study abroad. So that's just my little story in a nutshell.
Thanks, you guys. I won't harp on this too long, but I will say that I was somebody in college. I was super involved. That identity was really important to me. I was really involved in Greek life. I was involved in dance marathon. I felt like there was no way I was going to fit study abroad into my schedule. And it was so important to me to be on campus. And I think I resisted it for a long time. The opportunity to have an education abroad experience. And I'm so glad I had an advisor who really pushed me to do it. And we fit in time in my schedule to go abroad and to make it work. So, I always lean on Garrett, lean on people like me and Aley, because hopefully, you can be sitting in a chair someday saying, I'm so glad I went abroad, and that it was possible for me. So why go abroad? We talked about this a bit, but live out and deepen your faith, in particular with an ISA-Veritas program. You're going to cultivate cultural awareness, gain new perspectives. if you are looking to learn a foreign language, there's no better opportunity than to go abroad. I'm telling you, I took Spanish for like 10 years in Missouri or, whatever. And it really didn't do it justice until I went to Latin America and flexed those skills. A lot of this is going to be like soft skills that you gain. So getting outside of your comfort zone, learning how to be flexible, learning how to deal with adversity while you're abroad. And then you're also going to form those lifelong cross-cultural friendships. And I think, Aley can talk about this a little bit if she wants, but like just even the cross-cultural friendships when it comes to your faith and meeting other people of your faith, but sharing that cross-cultural perspective really adds a lot of dimension to your program as well. So I think that's a really cool piece.
Yeah, I would just add to that that I hear from students a lot. So like Zoe mentioned, Veritas is a part of ISA. So when you're abroad with Veritas, you'll actually be there with other students who are also studying abroad, but don't have a faith-based component to it. And I hear from students a lot of times, and even from my own experience, that the students who do Veritas often get even more plugged into the community and make more local friends and, things like that, just because you're serving in the church and you are involved in Bible study and things like that. And I can even remember as a student, a lot of other students on my program would be like, why do you have Peruvian friends? Like, how'd you get them? And things like that. But it's because we were serving in the community.
Thanks, Aley. Thanks for sharing that. So what is Christian study abroad? What does it look like? I know I keep throwing around the word ISA and Veritas, and what does it all mean? So at its core, this is what it comes down to. The program is an ISA program in its courses and the academic offerings, in the housing, in the excursions and the cultural activities that are offered. So you'll see a lot of other people on your program going on these excursions, and those are open to you as well. It's the ISA program plus a mission mentor. So you have that extra level of spiritual support. You have a mission mentor on the ground who's there with you, leading Bible studies, meeting with you once a week to just talk through everything. So you've got that extra layer of support. You also add on the mission work component. And I know Aley is going to touch a little bit on different mission opportunities at each location, but you will be serving with other students on your Veritas program. And then finally, the final layer is this Veritas course. So you have two options of courses that you can take while you're abroad. The first is a comparative religions course, or you can choose to do an international missions and service learning practicum. So you have an option between the two courses. Aley, do you want to touch a little bit more on those courses and what are involved in those?
Yeah, so it's interesting actually. Whenever you do a Veritas program, you're going to get two transcripts. You'll get a transcript from the host university that you're taking most of your classes at, but the second one is for this Veritas course, and it actually comes from CBU. We have a partnership with CBU where the transcripts for the Veritas course come from y'all. And so if you're a semester student, you do pick between these two courses. The comparative religions is really awesome. It's with other students from other Veritas locations, and you're really studying not only the major world religions, but the specific religions in Veritas locations as well. And then for the missions practicum, you are getting course credit. Missions practicum is actually getting course credit for the ministry work that you're doing and for the service you're doing. So both are 3-credit courses, whichever one works better towards your degree plan. Awesome. Side note, if you do a summer program, you will actually just do a 1-credit practicum, missions practicum, just because you're there for a shorter amount of time that you don't have time to do the full comparative religions course.
Cool. Thanks, Aley. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about the locations offered with these, quote unquote signature programs for CBU. Again, that's Costa Rica, Seville, Paris, and Prague. So we'll break them down one by one, talk a little bit about popular majors at these locations, housing options available, etc. So let's dive in. All right, so let's start with Costa Rica. This is actually where I studied abroad, so it's pretty cool. So the program is in San Jose, which is a very urban city in the middle of Costa Rica. I think I was surprised when I went at how urban it truly is. There's bus systems going. There are people walking everywhere. I think when we think Costa Rica, right, we think like jungles and mountains and volcanoes and beaches. And there's certainly all of that just right outside the city, but you do get a really urban feel. So you've kind of got both options, which is really cool. So a little bit about this program. The university that you'll be attending is ISA-Veritas. A lot of people get it confused. It's different from the Veritas program. It just happens to be called ISA-Veritas. So, you know, just distinguishing those two things. There are semester and summer options available to you. And then you will be staying with a homestay in Costa Rica. So you will be living with another family with usually another ISA student. You'll usually have a roommate in your homestay. And hopefully that's an opportunity for you to, you know, practice your language skills, but also really dive deeper into the culture and get to know more people around you. Some common majors for this program, we see a lot of biology majors. There's a lot of healthcare majors, so nursing is really, really popular for this program. There are great political science courses, a great business school as well at ISA-Veritas, and then obviously Spanish language is going to be a big deal for this program. So Aley, I'm going to tap on you again. Do you want to talk a little bit about mission opportunities in Costa Rica?
So in Costa Rica, our mission mentor, her name is Laura, and she's amazing. She's from Costa Rica originally, and she lives there with her husband and 2-year-old son named Felipe, and she absolutely loves our students. So when I talk about the mission work, I'm going to go ahead and talk about it from a non-pandemic context. Of course, COVID affects it a little bit, and so if you were to go this summer or this fall, it might look a little bit different, but so just generally speaking. So in Costa Rica, our students primarily work with an anti-sex trafficking ministry there. And so students will do a prayer and worship night with this ministry twice a week, and then they go out into the red light district of San Jose and take coffee and cookies to the sex workers there, and really just with the goal to get students, or I'm sorry, not students, to get them into a Bible study. There's also a ministry there called Casa de Pan, where it's a family who has adopted a lot of orphaned children, and our students will help the house run, cook and clean, and help the kids with homework and do laundry and things like that. And it just really serves the family. And there's a couple other ministries that students can do if their schedule permits, but those are the two main ones that we have in San Jose.
Cool. Thank you, Aley.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move on to Seville, Spain. So this is a very, very popular destination, just in ISA in general. This location tends to attract a lot of first-time travelers, just because of the amount of support offered on this program. We have a huge staff in Seville. And what's really cool about it is the ISA Study Center and the office and the residencia where some students are staying, it's all like in one block of housing. So you do have a lot of support here. So if you're a first-time traveler, this is a super popular location. As I mentioned, we have what's called an ISA Study Center that we actually, ISA hires professors to take those courses, and it's housed right next to the ISA office. It's a beautiful facility with really modern, you know, just like desks and technology. It's a really cozy space. A lot of students hang out just like in that space when they're not even in class. So really friendly, welcoming area at the ISA Study Center. This is also offered for a semester in summer. And the most, I would say, popular majors for this program are, again, Spanish language. Business is really popular. There's some great psych courses, and there's also some great religious studies courses. So if you're interested in learning, or if you're studying religious studies, there are some really interesting courses there. You will also be staying with a homestay while you're in Seville, again, to flex some of those language skills and to dive deeper into the culture. So Aley, calling on you again. Go for it.
Can I share something real quick about Sevilla?
Please.
So
Yeah.
Just a quick note, ISA-Veritas was awesome. They actually hosted me in Seville, Spain this past year. And that mushroom building, really interesting, but there's a lot of really cool like medieval architecture. There's architecture from the Muslims, there's an old Jewish quarter. So there's a lot of history there, a lot of culture. And the people are so nice. It's super safe. Love the food. But my Spanish is really horrible, and I was able to practice with people, and they're very open. So anyways, just to say, that's one of my favorite locations.
Sharing. And Aley, do you want to talk a little bit about ministry opportunities?
Yeah, so it's funny that it's one of Garrett's favorites. This is actually, I would say, probably our most popular Veritas location. So he's right on the money with that. So in Sevilla, we are actually going to be getting a new mission mentor in the fall. His name is Alberto, and he's awesome. So he and his wife are pastors at a church there. He's originally from Madrid, but grew up in Alabama for a very long time, and his wife is from Alabama, and they're awesome, and they run a church there, and they do a lot of different things, but students will have the opportunity to, they're actually doing a church plant in another part of Sevilla. And so they're going to be opening up a tutoring center with part of that. So it's tutoring children and, things like that. And then also there's opportunity for some sports ministry. They put on like basketball tournaments regularly and things like that. And so different opportunities throughout the city, but lots of options for their church has a lot of Bible studies just for students studying abroad, because a lot of students will go to Sevilla even with other organizations. And so there's a ton of students from the US in Sevilla, and their church has special Bible studies just for them. And it's a really cool ministry opportunities throughout. So
cool. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Paris. Obviously a very popular location for obvious reasons. Great food, great culture, great music, great places to walk around. Like, it's Paris, you guys. Like, I could eat there all day, every day. So a little bit about this program. You will be studying at Institut Catholique in Paris. This is either a semester or summer program. You can do either one. And this is the same where you'll be staying in a homestay with a family. So for my French language speakers out there, this would be a really, really good opportunity. But even if you don't speak any French, your homestay family will be able to speak English with you and all that good stuff. So in terms of popular majors in Paris, obviously at Institut Catholique, French language is going to be probably like the most amount of courses are going to be in French language. However, there are also really good opportunities in social sciences. So I'm thinking specifically if you've got general education or gen eds that you have to knock out, this is a really good program to knock out some of those gen eds. So there are history courses, there are cinema courses, there are gastronomy courses. So if you're thinking I want to go abroad and I really want to learn about French cuisine and French gastronomy, like that might be a really cool program opportunity for you. So again, passing it back over to you, Aley. Tell us a little bit about mission work in Paris.
Yeah, for sure. So in Paris, we actually partner with an IMB missionary there. Her name is Naomi. So for those of you that are familiar, IMB is the Baptist churches, the Southern Baptist Convention's mission sending organization. So a lot of IMB missionaries often stop by CBU in the summer and will like do different presentations and things like that. So you might run into one of our mission mentors. Anyways, that's a side note. Continuing on that side note, Garrett will often message me and be like, I met one of your mission mentors this week or things like that. It's really funny. But anyways, in Paris, her name is Naomi, and her husband, they're originally from the US, but they actually also serve often in Senegal and lived in Senegal for a while. And so they speak fluent English, French, and Wolof. And in Paris, they are ministering to a lot of refugees in Paris, which ties in with them having a heart for Senegal as well. There's a lot of Senegalese refugees there that they work with, and our students get to partner with them, and they are amazing. And yeah, that's Naomi and her husband, Michael.
All right, last but not least, we have Prague in the Czech Republic. And personally, this is actually one of my favorite cities in Europe. Guys, I could walk around there for days and discover new things. And just, I remember I spent a day there just like wandering in and out of museums and art shops and coffee shops and you know, places where you could buy pastries, and the architecture is just, it's stunning. You kind of get a mix between like kind of like old world and new worlds. Like Prague kind of has the feeling of both. Really cool museums. If you like museums, there's some really cool like underground like Kafka museums and stuff like that. So I absolutely love Prague. Definitely one of my favorite cities. Would highly recommend it as a location and destination. So the university in Prague is Charles University. This is also, again, a semester and summer program. And what makes this program a little bit different than the other three is it's not homestays. You actually stay in apartments in Prague. So you might have, you will have ISA roommates in your apartment, but that makes this program a little bit different than the others. In terms of popular majors at Charles University, this is a really great program if you're political science or international relations. That was my major. And like when I look through some of those courses, I like nerd out. It's like EU politics and you know, like Mediterranean, like IR courses. It's really, really cool. So I would highly consider you look at those. They also have great history courses as well. So if you've got some gen eds or if you are interested in studying history, Prague is a really cool place to do it. And Aley, back to you.
Awesome. So in Prague, our mission mentor, his name is Brian, and he is also an IMB missionary, originally from the US. And he, so there's lots of different things in Prague. Also refugee ministry, there's homeless ministry, youth ministry, English clubs, sports ministry. Like he's got a ton of connections around the city. So whatever you feel called to do, I bet you if Brian doesn't have it, he knows somebody. I did also just want to pause here and say in general for these 4 cities, I know Zoe listed off the awesome majors that are really popular in these cities, but if you didn't hear your major called in that is okay. In a lot of these cities, we actually work with a couple of different universities too. And so definitely just chat with Garrett and with us, and we can make a recommendation from one of these 4, even if we didn't highlight it in this presentation.
All right, so let's talk a bit about funding, and then Garrett, I am going to hand it over to you. So if you already use financial aid or scholarships, it's likely that you can use those awards abroad as well. So just some quick stats for you. 50% of ISA students use financial aid to pay for their program abroad, and over 75% of ISA students receive a grant, scholarship, or discount directly from ISA or Veritas for their program. So just to give you some context, CBU is an affiliate of ISA. So you are eligible for all of the quote unquote affiliate scholarships. So that just opens up your scholarship opportunities even more. But my biggest piece of advice when talking about funding and scholarships is to start planning early for scholarships. Typically those deadlines come up faster than program deadlines. So it does require you to, you know, put some dates on your calendar and to think ahead when you are applying for those scholarships. They also require that you write some sort of supplemental material, some sort of essay that our programs don't require. So that might take a little bit of extra work on your part. So again, just plan early, put dates in your calendar and start writing those essays. My other big piece of advice when it comes to funding is diversifying your options. So ISA offers a lot of scholarships. That's awesome. Talk to CBU. I know Garrett will talk a little bit about funding in a bit through CBU, but there's also external scholarships. So the Gilman, Freeman Asia, there's tons of diversity scholarships, like DEI type scholarships. So, you know, look externally as well, because there are a lot of opportunities there, and apply for as many as you're eligible for. I think the more you're applying, you know, the more you're maximizing your chances of being awarded more money. So that's funding, and I know Garrett will talk about that more in a bit.
You know what? I did want to just add one thing. So if you're anything like me, you probably are thinking, hey, I'm not going to apply for any of the scholarships because I won't get anything. That's exactly how I thought as like an undergrad. But honestly, we've seen a lot of students get some good funding. A couple semesters ago, we had a student get like $6,000. And I think this was just through a scholarship she found. So there's always a lot of good opportunities out there. You really just look into it and don't be discouraged.
And I was also going to add that because you are doing a Veritas program, you are doing ministry work while you're there. So a lot of students will actually support raise for their program by reaching out to your home church or to, your home community or things like that. That's actually how I paid for my flight to go abroad. And a lot of our students will do stuff like that with the GoFundMe or something too.
Thanks, Aley, and thanks, Zoe. I did see a question in the chat about the Gilman scholarship. So I was actually on a Gilman panel. The question on whether you can apply again if you've already applied for it, I'm not sure. I can look into that for you and get back to you because I don't want to give you the wrong information. But I'm leaning towards yes, because it's like okay. Aley's nodding, so I'm thinking I'm close to.
You can, as long as it's a new application cycle and you still meet all the eligibility requirements.
Awesome, thanks, Aley. You saved me right there. Saved me some research. Well, I'm going to go a little bit into the requirements on the CBU side. So. Aley and Zoe were talking about the ISA program, and we have a partnership with them. You guys do get, you get an affiliate discount. And just to clarify one thing about the finances. So with these study abroad opportunities, you are paying for the program. You're not paying for CBU. And the nice thing about that, and I'll get into that in the next slide. Typically, a lot of programs overseas are actually cheaper than going to CBU. So it can balance the cost of CBU and scholarships and different things out. And I can go a little bit into that in the next couple slides. I actually have a comparison, but just be aware that the main requirements on the CBU side are, if you're a freshman, you have to be at least be at CBU for at least a year. And if you're a transfer from another university or a community college, you should be here for at least one semester before you study abroad. We also, the institution will also check that you're just in good standing with student services, good standing with financial aid or student accounts, just making sure you guys don't have a hold or something that could complicate the process. And typically there's a GPA requirement as well, but it's not super hard to get past that GPA requirement. I mean, typically it's like a 2.5. It varies in different locations, but I think we're willing to work with you guys on that.
Hey, Garrett, not to jump in real fast. I realized that I was wrong about the Gilman. I think that's if you've declined it, you can, of course, apply again. I do not know off the top of my head if you have.
Okay, so I'm going to keep on researching that then.
So Garrett, keep researching. Right. I retract my statement.
I should know this that since I was on the panel, but it was my first time, guys, and I'm not going to lie. Okay, so show me the money. Everyone wants to know about financial aid. How does that work? So to clarify, if you guys get any government aid, whether that's Pell Grants, Cal Grants, or you're getting, you're taking out student loans to pay for college, you can use that for spring and fall semesters, but you can't use any institutional aid. So if you guys think about a scholarship from like music or engineering, for instance, that doesn't apply to your semester abroad. So that's kind of one of the things to consider. And when it comes to summer, typically you won't be able to get any of that financial aid, but the programs are going to be a lot cheaper. So there's a balance in everything. The payments are all through CBU. So our student accounts team works with ISA. Again, you're not paying CBU necessarily, you're paying the program, but we all work it out through our university. And there's also usually an application fee and a deposit. And so that's usually what you pay direct to ISA, but the rest goes through CBU. And the nice thing about that is we can apply financial aid to your program if it's in the spring and fall. So and another story about me, when I studied abroad, I had to fundraise that just like Aley. I was basically calling uncles, aunts, grandpa, everyone I could find to come up with the money, and I didn't get any of that financial aid. That wasn't even an option for me. So it's really cool that you have that option. It's makes it a little bit easier if you want to go in the spring and the fall. I mentioned the cost of CBU, right? So again, you're not paying CBU necessarily. It's processed through CBU, but you're paying the cost of the program. So if you're going to the Czech Republic, you're going to be paying a different cost versus Costa Rica or Spain, or someone mentioned England. But you can kind of see a breakdown of the cost of a semester at CBU, and this was 2018, 2019. So I'm sure it's gone up a little bit, but just to give you an idea, typically a study abroad can be pretty comparable to that cost or even less than that. And I won't go too into this, but here's some programs. You can see I put together a handy cost comparison, semester comparison, cost of living. What is Riverside compared to, say, Prague? Or what is the cost of living in Paris versus Riverside? And so kind of a fun study I put together, but you can see that most of the semesters are less than CBU. So just a summary of kind of what I talked about. There's the CBU application and there's the ISA application. So on the CBU side, we're basically going to make sure that you guys are getting your courses evaluated by the registrar's office. You know what's going to transfer credit-wise before you even go. Your financial aid has been squared away. You've kind of like you've looked into the cost. We've worked with student services, student accounts. But the first step on the CBU side is just really scheduling a meeting with our office. So my email should be at the end of this presentation, but you can reach out and we'll set up a meeting. We'll just talk about some options, and basically I'll walk you through the process again. Our process is all online, so that's really nice. But then remember that there is the ISA process as well. So you'll need to pick a program and start applying, and then they'll have different forms and paperwork. But after you meet with me, there's a meeting with academic advising. There's a meeting with your department dean or chair. Right now it's virtual, so it's a lot easier. But again, that's going over courses. That's making sure you guys are going to get the credit you need, and you're not going there blind and hoping, hey, I hope this is going to transfer back to my CBU semester and it's not going to hold me back. We want to make sure that you guys are going to be on the right track. And then, so there's the ISA application, and finally the CBU. So just keep in mind those two applications that are side by side. Our deadlines are on the right. So, spring is past. If you guys are looking into spring, that's spring 2022. So that will be October 10th of this year. The summer deadline is March 10th and fall is April 1st. So the summer's coming up really fast. You guys still have time. If you're interested, you can make it happen, but I think you should give yourself as much time as possible just so you don't have to stress out and you can really make a good decision. So I mentioned what's next, just reaching out to myself, and you can also reach out to Aley or Zoe. And if you have questions on the programs, if you want to maybe get their recommendation, they're amazing. They have so much experience, a lot more experience than me, and they'll be able to give you some guidance. But I'm happy to advise on the CBU side as well.
Yeah, thanks, Garrett. Thanks for all that great information. Yeah, I would definitely advise that you do sit down with Garrett if you're looking to pursue this opportunity. But then, yeah, also you see Ally's email. I'll also put my email in the chat, so you have that as well. But for anything on the ISA side, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to talk to you. And with that concludes our presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen so I can see all of your wonderful faces, and we'll take questions.
This always reminds me of the Brady Bunch a little bit with all the different faces.
I always think of Hollywood Squares. That might be like before y'all's time on this call, but remember how they would all sit like in a cube on Hollywood Squares? Nope. You just YouTube that later. And
okay, I'll YouTube that. I wasn't sure what that was.
You didn't know those, Garrett? I'm disappointed. Awesome. So anybody have any questions or anything or comments or fun facts?
I have a question. Hi.
Hey.
Can you guys all put your emails in the chat, please, so that we can reach out? Because I don't know if I joined late, but I just don't see them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then something was mentioned about the locations. If we don't hear our specific major, that shouldn't stop us from going to that location. Is that correct?
Yeah, so depending on what your major is, we can make different recommendations. Adriana, what is your major?
I'm a marketing major or slash business.
Awesome. Marketing, there are definitely different options. And so I would, off the top of my head, definitely recommend Spain first, but we can definitely look into that. But yeah, so we actually, so all of those awesome universities that Zoe listed, there are actually a couple more in some of the cities too, that also have more options as well. So I'm confident that whatever your major is, we can find a program for you.
And if you are, chemical engineering or something that you're not seeing on the list, we can chat a little bit about that more too, because there are other Veritas locations. If you're like, paint chemistry and you're like, I can't find a course, like just chat with us, and we'll figure something out.
If you're paint chemistry, I'm actually not sure if I have.
Actually, yeah, I was gonna say paint chemistry.
And then are there options for different countries besides the 4 that were mentioned today?
There are different options. Yeah. So Veritas offers 12 different countries. Aley, I don't know if I'm going to talk, and if you wouldn't mind putting the Veritas website in the chat, that would be great. But yeah, so there are 12 different countries available through Veritas. And you'll see, we'll put the website in there so you're able to look through all of them.
And Garrett, do you want to jump in on that too?
Yeah, so there's basically those are like our sponsored programs. They're the programs we've basically worked really closely with Veritas and ISA to set up. But there's other options. So, if you are interested in exploring somewhere else, just let me know. Those are the ones that we always want to highlight because we're excited about them. We've done kind of a lot of work to put those together.
And then Garrett, sorry, I'm asking a bunch of questions, but you said that the program, like on average, is $22,000. Is that without financial aid or with?
So that was, I should have clarified a little bit. Maybe that was confusing. I apologize, but that was basically me trying to show a snapshot of like CBU costs, the cost of a semester at CBU 2018, 2019. So the various programs are going to be different costs depending on the location. But I think I was trying to illustrate that, hey, it could actually be a little bit more affordable than CBU depending on where you go. But then again, keep in mind the financial aid and scholarships will be a little bit different than typically going to CBU.
I had a question. So I was actually got a phone call last semester about study abroad and all those things. And I wanted to know, so I was telling them like, I'm a business major, like what do you guys recommend for me to go to? And they were saying that they would really recommend me to go to either Italy or Australia. Is that through Veritas?
Yeah, so depending on who you talk to, my guess is that it was probably just for ISA in general. So like I mentioned, Veritas is a part of ISA. So Veritas, we have 12 different countries where ISA is also located, but ISA has about 18 other countries that they work in that Veritas is not, Australia being one of those. And so you're probably talking to one of our ISA program advisors who do advise on Veritas, but they also advise on everything else. So definitely, if you are interested in Australia, I mean, Italy, we got you. We have Rome actually for Veritas, and there is the American University of Rome where you can take business courses there. But if you are really interested in Australia, which is also a great location, definitely chat with Garrett because we can do that for the ISA side too.
And so then with that, if I was interested and wanted to pursue Australia, there wouldn't be a lot of like Christian worldview kind of things through that though, right?
No, not through the program specifically. But if that's really important to you, I would absolutely recommend New Zealand. So we have a program in Dunedin, New Zealand, where we do Veritas, and they have a lot of really similar course offerings to Australia, actually. And so most students who are looking to go to the Pacific, I do recommend New Zealand. Our Veritas program in Dunedin, I mean, you can take just about any major there. Even like we've seen some, aerospace stuff there. Like you can do so much there. And anyways, our mission mentor there, her name is Bex, and she's originally from New Zealand. And students work a lot with the campus ministry there at the University of Otago, where they put on alternative events so that students are not partying a lot and things like that, like different breakfasts and Friday night events and all sorts of stuff with an organization called Red Frogs, and our students really love working with them. So if you are really interested in going to the Pacific, but you want Christian community and support, put Dunedin, New Zealand at the top of your list for sure.
And then with that, so sorry, one more question.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, so then is there an opportunity for internships if I was to go? Because that's kind of like been my thing is like, so I want to go Veritas and get like more of the Christian thing, but I really want to get an internship. So would that kind of be more like plain ISA?
Yeah. So ISA does have an internships division, which we have in some of these presentations last fall. We actually had our internships team join for one of those too, because a lot of CBU students do like the internships. So no, with the internships, there's not officially a mission mentor component or anything like that. The internships team is also in probably 10 different locations, I think, around the world. And in some of them, there actually is overlap with Veritas, like in London and New Zealand and South Korea. And so depending on where you go, if you just talk with us one-off, even though there isn't a Christian component to that program, we have network connections all over the world. So does Garrett. Garrett knows a ton of people all over the world. And we can probably get you plugged in with somebody if it's an internship that you're wanting to do.
Okay, awesome. So they're like, sorry to clarify, like I would be able to do both like the spiritual aspect and an internship if I was to pick New Zealand?
So if you're in Dunedin, we could probably work that out specifically for like a case-by-case basis. Officially, no, there's not a Veritas component to any of the ISA internships, but on a one-off basis, talk with us because we'll see what we can do.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
If you decided to do like the summer program, what do you like do while you're there? Because like I normally am thinking like going for a semester, I'm gonna do school, whatever, but like in the summer, what do you like do?
Yeah. So, I mean, a summer program is going to look, I'm sure CBU has like courses you take over the summer. Like if you're taking summer school, you're doing that abroad essentially. So to be considered a full-time student over the summer, you're taking 6 credit hours, which is 2 courses. Some programs are shorter, so you're just taking the 1 course. But yeah, you're taking classes while you're abroad, just like you would if you were doing summer school at CBU.
Which actually, that's what I did as a student when I went to Costa Rica. I did a whole summer. So I did 2 classes each half of the summer, but I had a lot of friends who only did the 1 half. But yeah, you'd take 2 classes while you're there. We also do have all of the ministry opportunities throughout while you're there. And they still have excursions and things like that as part of the program too. If you're looking at this summer, we are running programs this summer, but COVID, of course, plays a role in like ministry opportunities and excursions. So depending on where you go, that's case by case to each site.
Also, how long is the summer like term?
It varies from program to program. So it can be anywhere from 3 weeks to 2 months, depending on the program that you sign up for. So
yeah, all of these Veritas ones will be like 4 to 6 weeks per half. And if you wanted to combine 2 of them to do a whole summer, you could do that.
I was going to add that some students will go abroad just for during a summer, just for an internship. And then there may be options to pair an internship with a course potentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
Aley and Zoe? Just making sure I'm saying it
that's
right.
correct. So the
Summer.
internships are 8 weeks long, and you have the option to get college credit, course credit out of the internship. So that's 6 credit hours for the 8-week internship, and you can bring that back as internship credit, elective credit, talking to your academic advisor and seeing how that fits into your schedule.
Is that for any internship? Like, is that for like if I was to do a fall or spring, or is that just for an 8-week summer, like an 8-week summer?
So typically, we have a couple of intakes for the so we've got a couple lengths. You can either choose to do a 6-week, an 8-week, or a 12-week. And that 12-week tends to be in the semester. with that being said, the 12-week internship, that the semester isn't 12 weeks, right? So it's a little bit of a shorter option, but there's a September intake for that. So that's a little bit, the summer is certainly the most popular. The 8-week summer is the most popular, but you do have the option for a 6-week or a 12-week and different intakes. So you got like a May intake, a June intake, a September intake.
And Lily, you can add on that 6 credits, no matter if you do, well, for sure the 8 or 12 week. I think the 6-week too. No, not 6 week.
Not for the 6 week.
Okay, so just the 8-week and the 12-week. Can you do you can get credit through ISA. Another option for all internships is if your major requires an internship or you're supposed to take an internship course, it might be possible for your department at CBU just to grant you that course credit for the internship without doing our course. So that's something just to talk through with your advisor before you leave, and with Garrett.
I believe there's also service learning opportunities with Veritas as well, which I think in a lot of ways there's similar learning that goes on to an internship.
Yeah, so ISA has service learning. It does not have a faith component to it. So it is just a secular service learning experience. They have 5 different community sectors, like, and Zoe, jump in here if there's community, Zoe.
Yeah, there's education, there's healthcare, there's like family and youth development.
Yep.
General categories like that.
One of the couple of the big differences with service learning and Veritas is because you are serving in both. For Veritas, you're taking your courses there and doing multiple different ministry opportunities in your free time. With service learning, you are actually placed in a specific service learning placement that you continue throughout the whole time. So it's more like an internship in that realm, and you keep that placement throughout. You work on a professional development portfolio and everything that you walk away with saying, I have done ABCD in my service learning experience. And so, and like I said, there's not a faith component to it. But both have a lot of reflective opportunity or reflective assignments and journals and things like that. But that's kind of the difference between the two. So especially where I really see service learning being popular is like if you are pre-med or something like that, there's opportunity within service learning to like work in clinics or different things that a lot of students love to take advantage of. So.
Yeah. And the cool thing, the last thing I'll add about that is what's cool about it is like, Lily, you could take your business courses and then add on the service learning piece. Like you could have the opportunity to do both over the course of a semester, and you can get the 6 credit hours for a semester of service learning while you're still taking business courses and pushing towards your degree plan.
Okay. Yeah. I was wondering too, are those internships through you guys, or is there an opportunity where like I ended up getting a connection through an internship? Would that be possible too, or is it only through you guys?
For us, we would find the placement for you because that's part of the program and just our vetting process and risk management and everything like that. Garrett, I'll let you jump in though for just in general for internships. Is that something Lily could do separate from ISA?
Lily, we could talk about that more. I mean, I kind of had a similar experience when I studied abroad. I went and found an internship, but I know that can be kind of difficult, and ISA has really vetted their internship partners. So then we know they're safe and it's a good opportunity, really good quality placement. So that's kind of the nice thing about having support from them. But man, I'm just like an outlaw. I'm giving you guys the wrong stories, but yeah, that's always a possibility. And we could talk about that a little bit more and what that might look like, but I would definitely recommend working through ISA for that.
Thank you.
And Lily, one last thing on the internships, and for everybody else joining too who might be interested in internships. The internships are customized placements. So you meet with our internships advisors and you say, hey, these are my career goals. This is my goal for the internship. And then they turn around and try to find an internship placement that's best going to fit you. So it's not like you're picking from a list of here's all your options, pick which one you want the most. They're actually finding an internship tailored to what you're looking for.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what I was asking, because what I want to do is kind of unique to my major. And so that's been kind of hard to I don't know, I've been able to find a few different internships, but I didn't know if that was possible through you guys.
Yeah. definitely chat with us. We can connect you with our internships team too, who works in that division a lot closer than Zoe and I both do. Zoe mentioned paint chemistry earlier when she was talking about all majors going abroad. That's actually an example that we hear from our internships team a lot. Like they found a paint chemistry internship for somebody who really wanted to do paint chemistry. And so we joke about that all the time. But yeah, they can get kind of specifics, which is awesome.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I had a quick question about studying abroad for the semester without the internship. So Zoe mentioned you have the choice to do 2 different classes. So for the semester that we would be abroad, are we only going to be doing one of those classes, and then the rest of the time we're going to be like volunteering, like the missions work? Or
That's a great question. Is it Adriana or Adriana? Can I ask?
Adriana.
Adriana. Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's a great question. No, so you will actually be a full-time student at one of the host institutions that Zoe mentioned earlier. So say you decide to go to Prague, right? I know you already went to Prague, but let's just use Prague for this example. And you enroll in classes at Charles University. You'll actually take, say, 12 credits worth of classes at Charles University, and then you'll take one additional Veritas course where you choose one of those 2 courses on top of it for a total of 15 credit hours. If you're really ambitious and you wanted to do 15 at Charles and then the Veritas for 18, have at it. We won't stop you. But yeah, so you're a full-time student at the ISA host university plus 1 Veritas course.
Cool. And those credits from the host university are going to transfer over to CBU? Okay.
Yeah. Yep, that's a big reason why we have worked with Garrett to pick out these 4 locations. We are working on the back end to even get some classes, hopefully, pre-approved beforehand. That way, one day, hopefully we have a list of here's the classes that we've already worked to get approved. But yeah, it'll transfer back. And Garrett, if you want to jump in to add anything on that, feel free.
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier that basically that's one of the big questions students have is like the finances and the credits. So before you even go abroad, we basically work with the registrar's office to evaluate your courses, and then they come back and say, hey, this is the courses you were looking to take. This is what they're going to count as. At that point, say you had a course that they said maybe was going to count as something you didn't want it to count as. That's when you can go back to your dean or your department chair and say, hey, I want to get a variance. This should be for this requirement that I want. So it's all kind of like working with your department, whatever your major is, working with your academic advisor, working with the registrar's office, but it's all done on the front end. So that way you're not going abroad and just crossing your fingers and hopefully this will transfer. We try to figure that out ahead of time. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, you guys don't have to stay. Thanks for joining us, and thank you so much, Aley and Zoe. You guys were awesome, and thank you guys for your questions, fantastic questions. Feel free to follow up with us in an email. We have your guys' emails as well, so I'm sure we'll just send you something in case you want to get in touch.
I know somebody mentioned wanting a recording for this, and we'll make sure that we get you the recording as well.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys.
Here, guys.
Guys.
Thank you.
I have a quick question, last one. Who should I email after this?
There's so many options, huh?
Yeah, right. Feel free to throw me and Garrett an email.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks.
Thanks, Adriana.
Bye.
Okay.